What's up, guys? We are back with a full slate of MLB action here on Friday, August 2nd. Thursday was a close miss, guys. We got off to a good start with the Kansas City Royals minus 1.5 at plus 100. Easy 7-1 win there. We got 8 dominant innings from Lugo and 3 home runs from the Royals, so comfortable win in that one. We had the St. Louis Cardinals, Chicago Cubs under 8. That was looking good as gold down the stretch until a blown save by the Cardinals where they gave up 3 runs and 4 hits in the bottom of the 9th inning. So a very unfortunate loss in that one, especially given that the Rockies were able to score 2 runs in the 9th inning and 1 run in the 10th inning. Thank you for that home run, Jake Cave. We take the win on the Rockies plus 110. So yeah, 2-1 on the day. Not exactly what we had in mind. Could have been a 3-0 day very easily, guys. Let's get back to work and find some value on this full Friday slate. Before we jump into the games, hit that like button. It only takes 1 second and really helps out the channel. If you like these videos, go ahead and subscribe. It's free and can notify you about new videos or any time that we go live. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description to go over there and join our free email list and check out our top confidence plays on all the major sports. Comment below with any bets you're looking at today and we'll give you our best advice on all of them. We are committed to responding to every single comment every day, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our favorite picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day. We've got the St. Louis Cardinals going on the road to take on the Chicago Cubs. The Cubs and Cardinals are actually playing right now, guys. Jumping into this video early tonight, hoping we can get you guys that early upload. The score is currently tied at 1 run apiece there in the top of the 5th inning, or the middle of the 5th inning actually, hoping we can hit that under. That was one of our core plays for tonight. The Cardinals come into this game having a little bit of a resurgence here. I mean, they won 3 out of 4 going into this series. They're still 5 games back of the Brewers though, so that's not ideal, but they're handing the ball to newly acquired Eric Feedy in this game. He's 7-4 on the season with a 3.11 ERA, having a very good season there for the Chicago White Sox. So the Cardinals are hoping that the move here to the National League and, being in a good situation, generally speaking, is something that will help him excel here towards the end of the season. Expecting pretty good things from Feedy right now. I mean, his last start was against the Seattle Mariners. It was a little bit problematic, guys. 4 innings pitched, 6 hits allowed, and 3 earned runs. But with the cloud of a trade like that looming over you, you're not exactly expecting somebody to be at peak performance. So that's not great coming off his last start. But generally this season, he's thrown the ball really, really well. So has that Cardinals bullpen, guys. A 3.61 bullpen ERA. Absolutely nothing to turn your nose up at there. They've been throwing the ball great coming out of the pen. And the offense has been figuring out things as well, guys. I didn't really expect miracles from them here in the first game of the series going up against Imanaga. But going into that series, they had scored 10, 8, 3, and 4 runs respectively over their last few games. This is a pretty good hitting team, guys. Adding Pham definitely seems like it's helping. They're 22nd in the majors in runs scored, 13th in the majors, well above MLB average. They were batting .247 as a team. Slugging percentage headed in the right direction. On base percentage headed in the right direction. It's been a slow, steady build for this offense, but they're definitely headed in a good direction. They're taking on the Cubs, who, yeah, they came into the series fresh off of scoring 13 runs in a game, so that was pretty cool. But at 52 and 58 on the year, they're in the bottom spot there in the NL Central. They're hitting the ball to Javier Assad, who's 5-3 this season with a 3.23 ERA. His last start was against the Royals, and he looked decent. 6 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs in a game we saw the Cubs win 7-3. So good stuff there. The last time we took on the Cardinals, though, guys, and straight up not having a good time out there, it was back on July 13th. 2 1/3 innings pitched, 7 hits, 3 earned runs allowed, including 2 home runs. He walked 2 and struck out 0. So a bit worried about his history here against the Cardinals. Definitely a concern we have in this game. Another, I'm not going to say concern. I mean, the Cubs bullpen's been decent. Not quite as good as the Cardinals, but definitely all right. So yeah, 2 pretty solid bullpens going up against each other in this game. The Cubs offense has been a concern, that 13-run game notwithstanding. Really, they just haven't been great. They've gotten a little bit healthier with the return of Cody Bellinger. That certainly helps this team, but overall, just not really an offense that I am terrified of. I mean, they're 20th in the majors in runs scored and 24th in the majors in batting average. Obviously not having a great time so far in the games they're currently playing going against Sonny Gray, so not necessarily expecting miracles for them going up against Feedy. Looking at the numbers for this game, we've got the Cardinals at -110, the Cubs at -104. We got an over-under of 7.5 once again in this game. The Cardinals are a 500 team on the road. The Cubs are just slightly better than 500 at home. We've got both teams showing trends towards the under. Honestly, guys, I do think there's a possibility this could be another under spot, but 7.5 is a small number, and I don't trust these 2 starters as much as I trusted the 2 starters from game 1. So really probably not too interested in that over-under. Generally speaking, I do think this is a decent spot for the Cardinals, -110, given that they're going up against somebody like Assad, who has not had a great time against them recently. And with Feedy on the mound, I'm expecting pretty good stuff from the Cardinals pitching staff. So generally speaking, guys, this is a pretty significant lean towards the Cardinals -110. Is it going to to end up in the pinned comment? We'll have to wait and see. It is a day game. That makes things just a little bit weird. Next on the docket, we're looking at the Arizona Diamondbacks going on the road to take on the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Diamondbacks come into this game fresh off of a 3-game sweep there of the Washington Nationals. The series before that, they won 2 out of 3 against the Pirates. Now they got ahead to Pittsburgh for a series. Arizona's been making some noise, guys. They are up to 58-51 on the season. They're hitting the ball to Brandon Pfaadt in this game, who's 5-6 on the year with a 3.92 ERA. His last time out was not a great start, guys, and it was against the Pirates. 6 innings, 7 hits, 5 earned runs allowed, gave up a home run in that game. Not exactly great stuff. However, before that start, he was throwing the ball really, really well, so we'll see if he can bounce back possibly in this one, or maybe he just isn't a good matchup there against the Pirates. The Arizona bullpen has been a problem all season long, but is trending in a positive direction, guys. They're down to a 4.25 bullpen ERA. Definitely, climbing the rankings in the MLB there. We'll see how good this bullpen can really get here over the end of the season. In terms of their offense, obviously this is one of the better offensive teams in the majors, guys. They are sitting second in the majors in runs scored, fourth in the majors getting on base at a 258 clip. They are sixth in the majors in slugging percentage. They've scored 5, 17, 9, 5, and 9 runs respectively over their last few games. This is an absolute powerhouse of an offensive team, hoping they can do something going up against the Pirates, who come into this game at 55-53 on the year. They just won 2 out of 3 against Houston. They did lose the last game of that series 5-4, so that wasn't ideal. They're hitting the ball to Luis Ortiz, who has had a very interesting season, guys. His last time out was against the Diamondbacks. He didn't have a great time. 5 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, and a home run allowed. He also walked 3 in that game. He's been very, very solid since coming out of the bullpen. He's definitely a plus level starter there in the Pirates rotation, but yeah, doesn't exactly have great history here against the Arizona Diamondbacks. So that's a little bit questionable for me in this spot. Also questionable is the Pirates bullpen, guys. Down there in the bottom half of the majors with a 4.28 bullpen ERA is not exactly a great look, and this hasn't been a great offensive team over the course of the season. Maybe they've seen a little bit of an upturn lately, scoring 4, 6, 5, and 6 runs respectively over their last few games. Brian Reynolds, obviously a monster. This team is only 24th in the majors in runs scored and 27th in the majors in on-base percentage. Just not a great offensive team over the course of the year. So we'll see what they can do in this game against a pitcher they just had plenty of success against, albeit in a loss. So yeah, we'll just have to see. Looking at the numbers for this game, we've got the Diamondbacks at -134, the Pirates at +115. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. Arizona, 1 game above 500 on the road. Pirates, exactly a 500 team at home. Nothing to be gleaned from that, really. We see both teams showing slight trends towards the under in this exact situation, but not too interested in the under given this pitching matchup. If anything, guys, I'm interested in that over 8.5. With the Diamondbacks at -134 is also relatively appealing, but Pfaadt had his issues. Generally speaking, in this game, I'm leaning towards that over 8.5. I think there'll be a decent amount of offense going on in this game between, a very good offensive team, a mediocre offensive team going up against a starter they've hit well, and 2 pretty questionable bullpens. But is any of that going in the pinned comment? I think it's pretty unlikely. Next on the docket, guys, we got the Kansas City Royals going on the road to take on the Detroit Tigers. The Royals came out of there, guys, with a 7-1 win in Game 1 of this series to get us the win on that Royals -1.5 pick. They've now won 4 games in a row. They're up to 61-49 on the season. Handing the ball in this game to Cole Rangans, who's 7-7 this year with a 3.37 ERA. He's coming off a pretty bad start against the Cubs. Honestly, both of his last 2 starts after pitching in the All-Star game there, guys, not exactly great stuff. He did pitch against the Tigers earlier in the season back on May 22nd and was dominant over 6 innings. 6 innings, gave up only 1 hit and struck out 12. So absolutely electric, lights out stuff in that one. We'll see if he can replicate it in this game. We're a little bit worried about the Royals bullpen. Obviously, they're coming off of a pretty good outing, but yeah, over their last, I don't know, it's been a while now. It's just starting to look like this isn't a very good bullpen, below MLB average for sure. The Bats came alive for 7 runs, and they've been hitting the ball pretty well lately over this winning streak, guys. 7, 10, 4, and 8 runs respectively over their last 4 games, so nothing wrong with that. Bobby Witt Jr. just continues to hit the cover off the ball. The Royals were buyers at the trade deadline, acquiring Lorenzen to try and boost that starting rotation. They're 9th in the majors in runs scored, 8th in the majors in batting average. Not a lot of bones to pick with this Royals team right now. They're looking pretty freaking good. They're taking on the Tigers, who come into this game clearly looking to, not end the season here on a great note. Seems like they were definitely sellers there at the trade deadline and not really trying to be super competitive. We've also got Riley Green on the IL, so we'll see when he comes back, but not think there's going to be any sense of urgency to get him back out there on the field. They are handing the ball in this one to Tariq Skubal, who's 12-3 this season with a 2.35 ERA. Absolute crazy stuff out there from him this season. His last start was against the Minnesota Twins, guys. 7 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs in a game we saw the Tigers win 7-2. He's he's been getting run support, guys, on top of throwing the ball great, getting run support, a pretty lethal combo. He did have a start against the Royals back on the 22nd of May. It was a rocky one, guys. 5 innings, 6 hits, 4 earned runs in that game. So not dominant stuff, not what we're used to seeing from him. He did have a start back in April against the Royals where he was dominant. So we'll see what we get from Scooball in this outing. I mean, a guy that we have a very good amount of faith in. He's been so good this season. Got to be a little bit demoralizing to see your team selling guys off, though, and not trying to be better when you're throwing the ball so well. The Tigers bullpen also clearly below MLB average, so not a ton of faith in them when Scooball comes out of the game. Also, the bats, guys. The bats are a huge problem. They've scored 1, 0, 4, and 0 runs, respectively, over their last 4 games. Obviously missing Riley Green. They're down to 27th in the majors in batting average, 28th in the majors in on-base percentage. This is a flat-out terrible offensive team. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we've got the Royals at plus 105, the Tigers at minus 118. We've got an over-under of 7 in this game. That's pretty crazy. The Royals are only 24 and 27 on the road. The Tigers are only 25 and 28 at home. Not a number that I'm really expecting to get better. We see mixed trends towards the over-under here, and with an over-under of only 7, I'm not super interested in that, guys. I do think this is a no-run first inning spot potentially for everybody that loves those, but generally speaking in this game, guys, I think the Royals plus 105 is not a terrible spot. Getting them at plus 105 with Rangans on the mound against a team that he's dominated, and he's in a bounce back spot. I realize he's pitching on the road, which not always the best look for him, but I mean, his last road start was at Boston there before the All-Star break, and he went 7 innings, gave up 4 hits, and only a single earned run. So I'm expecting good stuff from him in this start. We'll see what we actually get. I'm definitely leaning towards the Royals plus 105 in this game. Next up, we're looking at the Milwaukee Brewers going on the road to take on the Washington Nationals. The Brewers come into this game fresh off of losing 2 out of 3 there, guys, against Atlanta. At 61 and 47 on the year, they've still got a 5-game cushion there in the NL Central. They're handing the ball to newly acquired Frankie Montas. Yeah, guys, if that's the pitcher you're looking to acquire at the trade deadline, like, I've got some question marks. He's only 4-8 on the season with a 5.01 ERA. His last start was at Atlanta. He got shelled 4 1/3 innings, 10 hits, 4 earned runs allowed. He's allowed 4, 7, and 5 earned runs respectively over his last 3 starts, and that was at Atlanta, at Washington, and at home against the Colorado Rockies. Not exactly a pitcher that I'm very excited about for the Brewers here. They're hoping he can help out their rotation, and it definitely needs it, but I don't know if this is the guy. Their bullpen has been very good this season, 3rd best in the majors with a 3.29 bullpen ERA, so absolutely nothing wrong with that, but the offense has taken a nosedive here since Yelich went down, guys. 2, 1, 8, 6, and 3 runs respectively over the last few games, and that spans series against Atlanta and the Miami Marlins. So not great stuff from an offense that's been top 10 in the majors for most of the season, but they are trending downwards, guys. 11th in the majors in runs scored now, 14th in the majors in slugging percentage. So we'll see what they can do here against the Nationals, who come into this game losers of 4 in a row. They're handing the ball to Jake Irvin in this game, who's 8-8 on the season with a 3.44 ERA. He's coming off a serviceable start against the Cardinals, guys. 5 1/3 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs allowed. In a game we saw Washington dominate 14-3 against the Cardinals. His last start against Milwaukee, it was a problem, guys. He only went 4 innings in that game, gave up 9 hits and 7 total runs, gave up 2 home runs in that game. He seemed very prone to the home run ball lately. So yeah, we've got some concerns here for Jake Irvin in this game, although generally speaking, he's been good this season. The Nationals bullpen was above average for a big chunk of the year, guys, but now they're down in the bottom 10 in the majors with a 4.29 bullpen ERA. So not exactly feeling great about that. Also not feeling amazing about the bats, guys. They've scored 4, 0, 8, 3, and 14 runs over their last few games. They're 17th in the majors in runs scored, 16th in the majors in batting average. Like, just not an offense that really gets me going. I don't think they're headed anywhere particularly fast at the moment, so we'll see what actually happens in this game. But looking at the numbers for this one, guys, we see the Brewers at minus 118. We see the Nationals at plus 100. We've got an over-under of 9 in this game. The Brewers are 30 and 26 on the road, so a good road team. The Nationals are only 23 and 27 at home, so not the best at home. No trends for Milwaukee. They're 27, 27, and 2 against the over-under on the road. Washington is a slight under team. Well, they're 24, 23, and 3 to the under at home. So no real trends here for the over-under. Although, guys, I am leaning towards the over. We see that both teams are putting a guy out there that's gotten pretty much killed by the opponent this season, so I think we could see plenty of offense in this game. The Nationals also have a terrible bullpen, so my main lean in this game is probably the over 9, and if you wanted to take a small slice of maybe the Nationals plus 100 at home, you could. I have very little faith in Frankie Montas, but yeah, who wins this game pretty much feels like a coin toss to me. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Toronto Blue Jays going on the road to take on the New York Yankees. The Blue Jays come to this game fresh off of losing 3 out of 4 there at Baltimore. They're 50 and 59 on the season, so not headed anywhere positive. They're handing the ball to to Kevin Gausman in this game. He's 9-8 this year with a 4.44 ERA. He's coming off of a complete game start against the Texas Rangers, guys. 9 innings, 4 hits, 3 earned runs allowed. He struck out 8 and walked 3 in that game. So definitely the definition of an extended start there. We'll see what he can do in this game, but seems like kind of a big ask going up against a team like the Yankees that he faced back on June 30th. He went 4 1/3 innings, gave up 7 hits and 7 earned runs in that game. So not great stuff there. He's had his good moments. Obviously that start against the Rangers was a good moment, but I don't know if he's going to be having many of those good moments here against the Yankees. He also, when he comes out of the game, guys, that Toronto bullpen, a 5.09 bullpen ERA, second worst in the MLB. The offense also has not been doing great, guys. 4, 2, 8, 5, and 7 runs respectively over their last few games. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. finally hitting the ball better, but yeah, I think he's probably disappointed that he didn't get traded. Who knows what he's actually thinking, but that's kind of the vibes that I was getting. 25th in the majors in runs scored, 21st in the majors in slugging percentage this season for the Blue Jays as a team. Just not loving those numbers. They're going up against the Yankees in this one, who have now won 5 in a row. They are 65-45 on the year. They're getting healthy. Seems like things are back on track. They're handing the ball to Marcus Stroman in this game, who's 7-5 this season with a 3.64 ERA. His last time out was against the Boston Red Sox. He straight up did not have a good time in that start, guys. 3 1/3 innings, 9 hits, and 5 runs allowed. Only 3 of them were earned, but not a good outing whatsoever. We did kind of miraculously see the Yankees win that game 11-8 in 10 innings. The last time he faced Toronto, he was at Toronto, went 4 1/3 innings, gave up 5 hits and 3 earned runs in a game the Yankees won 16-5. So it seems like this is a guy the Yankees are very happy to get behind and, give tons of run support to. He did look better against Toronto early in the season, so, maybe he can get back to those kind of numbers here in this game. In general, the Yankees bullpen hasn't been a problem, guys. A 3.60 ERA over the course of the season is definitely good. I don't know if I'm going to say they're an elite bullpen right now, but generally speaking, not feeling too bad about that pen. And the bats, guys, the bats are well and alive. Stanton coming back, definitely a boost that really helped them. They've scored 6, 7, 14, 8, and 11 runs respectively over their last few games. They just swept the Phillies at Philadelphia. Now they get to go back home to Yankee Stadium and take on a team like the Blue Jays. I think they are looking to take the lead there in the AL East from the Baltimore Orioles. So looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Blue Jays at plus 144, the Yankees at minus 160. We've got an over-under in this game of 9. The Yankees, guys, if you take a minus 1.5 in this game, you can get them at plus 120 or plus 125. That seems extremely appealing to me, guys. Give me the Yankees minus 1.5 in this game. I think they're going to win this one walking away. I'm not scared of that Toronto offense at all. In terms of the over-under in this game, not a lot of major leans for me. I mean, yeah, the teams are showing trends towards the over, so if you wanted to take over 9, that would certainly make some sense. I don't think that's going to end up in the pinned comment, though. I definitely think that the Yankees minus 1.5 is going in there, though. Rolling right along here, guys, we've got the Baltimore Orioles going on the road to take on the Cleveland Guardians. The Orioles come into this game fresh off of a 10-3 loss at the hands of Cleveland in Game 1 of this series. Yeah, kind of a tough look there. Not a great feeling for Orioles fans, I'm sure, but they are still 20 games above 500 and tied for the top spot in the AL East. They're hitting the ball to Dean Kremer in this game, who's 4-7 on the year with a 4.20 ERA. He's coming off a okay-ish maybe start against the Padres. 6 innings, 7 hits, 1 earned run, but 4 runs total. So, not necessarily the best stuff out there. Not a starter that we're super excited about, and I'm sure Baltimore fans are not super excited about him either. He hasn't taken on Cleveland yet this season, so nothing to be gleaned from that, but the Orioles bullpen also has happened upon tough times, guys. A 3.86 bullpen ERA, absolutely nowhere close to where they were earlier in this season, so that's not great either. And yeah, the bats, guys, the bats have pretty kind of come back a little bit. They've scored 3, 10, 6, 4, and 11 runs respectively over the last few games, but dominating in a 4-run series against Toronto, not really something to be too excited about. I mean, they're still first in the majors in slugging percentage and third in the majors in runs scored, so we'll see what they can do here in a bounce-back spot going up against the Guardians, who come into this game winners of 4 in a row themselves. They're 66-42 on the season, handing the ball in this game to Carlos Carrasco, who's 3-9 on the year with a 5.68 ERA. His last start against the Phillies was a debacle, guys. His last couple of starts, he up 6 earned runs in 5 1/3 innings to Detroit back on the 22nd. Like, not a starter that I am very excited about at all. The last time he went up against Baltimore, he did have a pretty good time. 5 innings of work, 6 hits allowed, and only 2 earned runs allowed, but that was during a solid streak, and I absolutely do not say that he is on a solid streak right now, guys. He is struggling. The Cleveland bullpen, on the other hand, is very good. A 2.47 bullpen ERA, absolutely nothing wrong with that number. They've been the best bullpen in the major leagues pretty much all season long, and the bats stay hot, guys. They just scored 10 runs in their first game of this series. They scored 10, 5, 8, 4, and 0 runs, respectively, over their last few. Yeah, it just seems like they're kind of getting things back on track. A little bit of concerning news that Bibby's going to miss his next start, but we've got Ramirez hitting 2-run home runs. Like, things seem like they are on track for this offense. It's 13th in the majors in runs scored and 15th in the majors in on-base percentage. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see Baltimore at -124, the Guardians at +110. We've got an over-under of 9 in this game. The Orioles are 31-19 on the road. Cleveland is 33-15 at home. That is an MLB best record at home. We do see both teams showing trends towards the over in this game, which is very interesting to me. Baltimore 30-17-3 to the over on the road. Cleveland 26-19-3 to the over at home. Guys, I know it's an over-under of 9, and that seems like a lot of runs, but I expect to see plenty of offense early and often in this game. I'm a little bit worried about that Cleveland bullpen being good, but the Guardians could just score a whole bunch of runs and help us out going up against that Orioles bullpen and Kremer. So yeah, guys, I do like the Guardians +110 just a tiny bit, but I like the over way more in this spot. Next on the docket, we've got the San Francisco Giants going on the road to take on the Cincinnati Reds. The Giants come into this game fresh off of winning 1 out of 2 in a little series there against the Oakland A's. They're 54-56 on the year, trying to make a little bit of a charge here. I mean, they're hitting the ball to Kyle Harrison, who's 6-4 this season with a 3.69 ERA. His last 3 starts have been lights out, guys. He's given up only a total of 2 earned runs over those 3 starts. Unfortunately for him, the Giants are only 2-1 in those starts, but still, he's looked very good in 4 out of his last 5 outings. Literally no complaints from me here about Kyle Harrison. He's doing his thing out here. The last time he took on the Reds was back in May, and he looked decent in that outing. Maybe not dominant, but definitely decent, and it was a game we eventually saw the Giants win in extra innings. So we'll take that. I mean, the Giants bullpen is a big concern in this game, guys. They are 25th in the majors with a 4.35 bullpen ERA. That is not great. The offense not exactly swinging the hottest bats, despite just getting to play series against Oakland and the Colorado Rockies. 1, 2, 5, 5, 4, and 11 runs respectively over their last few games. Yeah, fine, but really not something that's super impressive to me. I mean, they're 14th in the majors in runs scored, 15th in the majors in batting average. This is pretty much just a strictly average offense here in the major leagues. And they're taking on the Cincinnati Reds, who come into this game fresh off of winning 2 out of 3 against the Cubs. They did lose the last game of that series 13-4, so I'm sure that stung a little bit. At 52-56 on the year, they're 9 games back of Milwaukee in the NL Central. They're handing the ball to Andrew Abbott in this game. He's 9-7 on the season with a 3.38 ERA. His last start was not the norm, guys. He gave up 8 hits and 4 earned runs in 4 innings of work at Tampa Bay. Not the norm for a guy that's thrown the ball pretty well this season, at least generally speaking. The last time he took on the Giants was back on May 10th, and he looked good in that outing. 5 innings, 6 hits, only 2 runs allowed in that game, so not a disaster there. A pretty good start for him. Obviously, that's a long time ago, but he is in a bounce-back spot, so I'm expecting decent stuff from Abbott in this game. The Reds' bullpen has been fantastic over the last, I don't know, it's been quite some time. Like, this is just a good bullpen at this point. A 3.52 bullpen ERA. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Impressive considering the fact they have to pitch at the Great American Ballpark in half of their games. The offense has been the problem for this team all season long, but they're swinging some warmer bats right now. I mean, 4, 6, 7 runs over their last 3 games. That'll definitely work. We're seeing Elly De La Cruz get that batting average back up there. He's batting over 260 on the season now, which is very playable. An exciting young player, no doubt about that. The Reds are only 28th in the majors in batting average and 23rd in the majors in on-base percentage, but they're 15th in the majors, like league average and runs scored, so we'll give them a little bit of credit there. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Giants at +100, the Reds at -118. We've got an over-under of 9 in this game. The Giants are only 21-32 on the road this season. The Reds are 27-29 at home. Neither one of those numbers really making me feel too impressed. In terms of the side in this game, I'm leaning slightly towards the Reds at home with Abbott on the mound, hoping he has some sort of bounce back and the offense can kind of get something going here against Kyle Harrison. In terms of the over-under, we're seeing mixed trends in this game. Not too in love with that over-under of 9. I would maybe even lean towards under possibly in this game, but generally speaking, I do think the Reds -118 is the play, but overall, I don't think I'm that interested in betting this game. Next on the docket, we've got the Miami Marlins going on the road to take on the Atlanta Braves. The Marlins come into this game. Well, actually, these two teams are still playing right now. The game's almost over. We see Atlanta up 4-2 there in the top of the 9th inning, so they're doing what they can to salt away that win. The Marlins not exactly having the best time right now, guys. They did get that win against Tampa Bay, but they were big-time sellers there at the trade deadline. They're handing the ball to an unconfirmed starter in this game over the course of this season in terms of, like their starting pitching stats. They're last in quality starts and 25th in batting average against. So not really too excited about whoever they end up handing the ball to. We could see a minor league start from them in this one as well, so we don't really know. Their bullpen's been better than expected, guys. A 3.76 bullpen ERA. Not a lot wrong with that. Obviously, the offense not having a great time in their current game, and I expect most of these numbers to get even worse. Even though they've been terrible numbers over the course of the season, they got rid of their best hitter there at the trade deadline. So I don't think they're going to be headed anywhere positive at the plate. They're taking on the Atlanta Braves in this game, who come into this one looking like it's going to be fresh off of a Game 1 win. That'll mean they've won 5 of their last 6 overall to get to 59-49 on the season. They're hitting the ball in this one to Spencer Schwellenbach. He's 4-5 this year with a 4.06 ERA. He's coming off of a great start against the Mets, guys. It was at New York, 7 innings, 2 hits, 11 strikeouts, no walks, and no runs allowed in a game we eventually saw Atlanta win 4-0. So very, very good stuff there. Honestly, his last 4 starts have been very reasonable. He did have some trouble against the Cardinals, but overall, especially for a 24-year-old dude, we have to be very happy with what we're seeing from him. Obviously, no complaints about that Atlanta bullpen that's been second best in the majors all season long. A 2.97 bullpen ERA is crazy, crazy stuff. So definitely feel good about that. The bats have come alive a little bit. I mean, only 4 runs in their current game isn't great, but 4, 6, and 5 runs respectively over their last 3. That'll get the job done. Usually for this team, that's very, very good in terms of their pitching staff. 18th in the majors in batting average, 12th in the majors in slugging percentage. Like, those are okay numbers. They do lean pretty heavily on Ozuna, so we're going to need to see good stuff from him for them to be getting wins. In terms of the numbers for this game, guys, it's a little bit annoying. We see Miami at plus 220. We see the Braves at minus 270. We've got an over-under of 9 in this game. I would lean towards that under, possibly. This is a weird spot. We can't really give a confirmed lean since we don't know who's going to be starting the game for the Marlins. If it's a bullpen start, honestly, you might have to take a look at the Marlins plus 220. Their bullpen has been pretty reasonable this season. And I mean, while Schwellenbach is good, I don't think he's, like an absolutely amazing lock it in for a win kind of starter. So generally speaking, we just need more information on this game. I'm leaning towards the Braves, maybe minus 1.5 here. I don't even think it's that appealing of a price. Yeah, I mean, minus 125 or 126 if you take a minus 1.5. So just kind of a weird spot. Maybe lean under, maybe lean Braves, but we just need more information. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Boston Red Sox going on the road to take on the Texas Rangers. The Red Sox come to this game fresh off of winning 2 out of 3 there against Seattle. Yeah, a crazy series, plenty of offense in the first 2 games, no offense in the last one. The Red Sox are 57-50 on the year, handing the ball in this game to Cutter Crawford, who's 6-8 this season with a 3.60 ERA. He's coming off of a pretty horrendous start against the Yankees, guys. 4 2/3 innings, 8 hits, and 5 earned runs allowed. He's given up a total of 8 home runs over his last 2 games, guys. 5 home runs at the Dodgers and 3 home runs at home against the Yankees. Not exactly somebody we're super excited about how he's throwing the ball over his last 2 starts, which is kind of crazy because his 3 starts before that were absolutely lights out. So we'll see what we get out of him in this one. He hasn't faced the Rangers yet this season. We'll see what we get from that Red Sox bullpen, guys, that has not been nearly as good lately as they were in the early goings. A 4.10 bullpen ERA has them clearly in the bottom half of the majors, so that's not great. The offense scored 2, 6, and 14 runs against Seattle. That's pretty decent stuff, but yeah, I don't know. For some reason, I usually struggle to trust this offense. 7th in the majors in runs scored, 3rd in the majors, batting 260 as a team. Like, this looks like a top 5 offense. So we'll see what they can do here going up against the Rangers, who do not have a confirmed starter yet for this game, so that's not ideal. They're 17th in the majors in quality starts, 8th in the majors in batting average against, allowing opponents to hit 234 against them, 17th in whip. Like, just, I don't know. We need more information here about who they're going to start, because if this is a bullpen start from the Texas Rangers, we are going to want to slam it on the Boston Red Sox, because the Rangers bullpen, a 4.46 bullpen ERA, pretty much a disaster. They also haven't been hitting the ball great, guys. 1, 1, 6, 3, and 3 runs respectively over the last few games, and that spans series against the Cardinals and the Toronto Blue Jays. The Rangers are back at home for this game, so we'll see if that makes a difference for them, but generally speaking, not feeling great about an offense that is 22nd in the majors in slugging percentage and only batting 239 as a team. Look at the numbers for this game. We see the Red Sox at minus 124, the Rangers at plus 106. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. Boston 30-22 on the road, a pretty good road team. Texas 29-23 at home, so not a terrible home team either. We do see the Rangers are 34-16-2 to the under at home. That's an MLB best mark to the under, but Boston is a significant over team on the road, so we're not too interested in that. Generally speaking, in this spot, I'm leaning towards Boston minus 124, but 2 things really have to happen. We have to see that this is a bullpen start from the Rangers, and we have to see Cutter Crawford have a bounce-back game. So probably, generally speaking, a game that I'm going to stay away from, but you want to keep your eye on that pinned comment and just to see if something happens with this one once we find out who's starting this game for the Rangers. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Chicago White Sox going on the road to take on the Minnesota Twins. The White Sox come into this game fresh off of a 17th straight loss. Getting pretty bleak there for Chicago, guys. They're hitting the ball in this game to Davis Martin, who, yeah, he's going to be making his first start of the season, his second appearance overall. His first appearance was a bullpen outing against Seattle, 2 2/3 innings, 3 hits, and an earned run allowed. He walked 3 and struck out 3 in that outing. The dude's 27 years old. We'll see what we get out of him in this game. Not really expecting too many miracles. The White Sox bullpen, which it kind of feels like this is a bullpen start for all of the obvious reasons, has not been great. They are third worst in the majors with a 4.87 bullpen ERA. That is absolutely not very good either. So yeah, just not expecting great things from the White Sox. Also not expecting good stuff from their bats. They scored 3, 3, 5, 3, and 3 runs respectively over their last few games. This is the worst batting team in the majors, guys. Dead last in runs scored, last in batting average, last in on-base percentage, and last in slugging percentage. So not going to waste a ton of time talking about them. Looking at their opponent in this game, the Minnesota Twins, they come into this one, they only won 1 out of 3 there at the Mets. They're 59 and 48 on the season, so sitting in third place in the AL Central. They're handing the ball to Joe Ryan in this game, who's 6 and 7 on the year with a 3.69 ERA. He's coming off of an okay start at the Tigers. I mean, 6 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs allowed, 3 runs allowed overall. He struck out 8 and walked 1 in that game. Eventually, we saw the Twins take the 7-2 loss in that one. The Twins are also 0-3 over his last 3 starts. His last start, though, was very good, so we'll give him some credit there. We're a little bit worried about him, though, but given who he's about to face in this game, a lot of those worries tend to disappear. The last time he faced the White Sox, he made back-to-back starts against them back in April, and he did fine in that, and yeah, we saw the Twins win both of those games. So we'll see what we get out of the Twins starter. We'll also see what they get out of their bullpen in this one, guys. The Twins bullpen kind of headed in the right direction now again. I mean, a 3.89 bullpen ERA is not terrible. The real strength of this team is their offense, but their offense has been in a little bit of trouble. They did just score 8 runs in the last game of that series, but 8, 0, 2, 5, and 2 runs respectively over their last few. They just need to get healthy, guys. Carlos Correa is still not going to be out there on the field. That's a big, big deal for this team. He's working out on a treadmill. He's taking some limited hitting drills and stuff like that. He could soon progress to running on the field, so that would be a great sign. But right now, that he's not going to be playing this game, so they're going to be missing their best hitter out there in this one. So that is not a great look. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, pretty wild numbers. The White Sox at plus 245, the Twins at minus 290. Over under of 8.5 in this game. The White Sox are 10 and 44 on the road. That's an MLB worst road record. The Twins are 29 and 21 at home. They are also a slight over team, 26, 22, and 2 to the over. Over 8.5, you could take that if you think the Twins might score 9 runs all on their own. Not expecting really any offense out of the White Sox in this game. In terms of the run line in this one, you pretty much have to take the Twins at minus 2.5. I mean, you can take a minus 1.5. If you do that, you can get them at minus 130, minus 135, somewhere in that range. That seems relatively playable to me, to be honest. I do think we're going to see a great outing from Joe Ryan in this matchup. So yeah, guys, go ahead and give me the Twins minus 1.5. Is this going to go in the pinned comment? I'm not sure yet, but it definitely has a very realistic chance. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Tampa Bay Rays going on the road to take on the Houston Astros. The Rays come into this game fresh off of a 6-2 loss against Miami. They're 55 and 53 on the year, handing the ball in this game to Shane Baz, who's 0-1 this season with a 3.66 ERA. His last start was a very good one, guys, against the Reds. 6 innings, 2 hits, 2 earned runs allowed. He struck out 7 and walked 2. It was a game we eventually saw the Rays lose in extra innings, so make of that what you will. He's a young guy. He's thrown the ball relatively well since getting into the major league, so expecting decent stuff from him in this outing, although he's going up against a tough opponent. The Rays bullpen has been terrible this season. It's been one of their problems. A 4.20 bullpen ERA is not great. Honestly, it's kind of headed in the right direction lately, but do we expect that to continue? Seems a bit questionable to me. We'll see what actually happens out there. Their bats not in a great spot, obviously coming off a game where they scored 2 runs. They scored 2, 9, 2, 4, and 2 runs respectively over their last several games. Not a team that was really trying to get better at the trade deadline. Guys, they're 27th in the majors in runs scored, 25th in the majors in slugging percentage. The fact that this is still an above 500 team is pretty impressive, but not a team, generally speaking, that I'm that impressed by. They're taking on the Houston Astros, who come into this game fresh off of a win, but they lost 3 straight before that win. They're 56 and 52 on the year, tied with the Seattle Mariners there atop the AL West. They're handing the ball to Yusei Kikuchi, newly acquired Yusei Kikuchi in this game. He's 4-9 on the season with a 4.75 ERA. They're hoping he can kind of turn things around because his last 3 starts were all very, very problematic, guys, and those were starts at Arizona, at home against Detroit, and at home against the Rangers. So bad start against Arizona, sure, that that can happen. But bad starts against the Rangers and the Tigers, that is definitely something to be concerned about. Going here up against the Tampa Bay Rays, a team that he hasn't faced since the very beginning of the season back in March, so not a whole lot we can gauge from that. Generally speaking, I feel mediocre about Kikuchi out there on the mound. I am feeling a bit better about that Houston bullpen, guys. They're up to around top 10 in the majors with a 3.69 bullpen ERA. So nothing terrible about that. We'll give him a little bit of credit for having an improved bullpen, but generally speaking, not a pitching staff, at least in this situation, that I'm in love with. The bats have been a problem as well, guys. They've scored 5, 2, 3, 2, and 7 runs, respectively, over their last few games. 12th in the majors in runs scored, still 2nd in the majors in batting average. Somehow this just isn't a team that can really get runs across the plate. It's a bit concerning. You would think here going up against a young starter, maybe they'd have a chance, but Baz has been throwing the ball well, so we'll have to see what happens. In terms of the numbers for this game, Tampa Bay is plus 136. The Astros are minus 156. We've got an over-under of 8 in this one. Tampa Bay, basically a 500 team on the road. Houston is a decent home team, 31 and 24 at home. Mixed trends towards the over-under with an over-under of 8 in this game. I would maybe lean slightly towards the over, I guess, but not too interested in that. Slightly interested, I guess, in the Astros minus 156 at home in this spot, since I do expect Tampa Bay to, have a rough time continuing with their season, but this is basically just a stay away spot for me, guys. I don't know what to expect from Kikuchi, don't really know what to expect from Baz, and neither one of these teams is consistent at the plate. Moving right along here, guys, we're looking at the New York Mets going on the road to take on the Los Angeles Angels. The Mets come into this game fresh off of winning 2 out of 3 there against the Twins. They're 8 games back there in the NL East with their 57 and 51 record. They're handing the ball to Paul Blackburn in this game, newly acquired Paul Blackburn. He comes into this one 4-2 on the season with a 4.41 ERA. His last start didn't look great. Honestly, his last couple, 3 out of his last 4 starts didn't look amazing. Like, some question marks here for me about Paul Blackburn. Obviously, a change of scenery might end up helping him. We'll just have to wait and see. He's taking on the Angels, funnily enough, a team that he just faced in his last start back on the 26th. He went 5 innings, gave up 5 hits and 4 earned runs, including 2 home runs. So, yeah, the Mets have to be hoping he does a little bit better than that. In this game, the Mets bullpen, while it's had its struggles this season, is for sure headed in the right direction. Their bullpen ERA is down to 4.07, so headed in a positive direction. They've got work to do still to continue to improve that. The bats have been an issue lately, guys. They've scored 3, 2, 15, 2, and 0 runs respectively over their last few. Sure, that 15-run game is good, but that only wins you 1 game. They're 6th in the majors in runs scored, 12th in the majors in batting average, batting .249 as a team, 9th in the majors in on-base percentage. Like, this is a team that can hit the ball. It just hasn't been happening lately, and they're going up against the Angels in this game, who they're currently playing against the Rockies. They're in LA for this game. They don't have to travel. The Mets are coming to them. But yeah, not a lot of good stuff to say about the Angels. They are down 2-0 in the top of the second for what that's worth. They're handing the ball to Tyler Anderson in this game. He's 8-9 on the season with a 2.96 ERA. He's coming off a decent start against the Oakland A's. 7 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs allowed, and he struck out 10 in that game. So a pretty good start for him, although his team did take the 3-1 loss. Not a lot he could do about that. The Angels bullpen has been pretty terrible this season. A 4.32 bullpen ERA has them like 24th or something like that in the majors, so not impressed by their bullpen and not really that impressed by their bats. I mean, they scored 1, 10, 8, 1, 4, and 5 runs respectively over their last few games. They haven't played a good team in quite some time, and I think the Mets definitely qualify here as a good team. So we'll see what the Angels bats are able to do in this game, but I'm not expecting miracles. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Mets at minus 136, the Angels at plus 116. We've got an over-under of 9 in this game. This is another weird spot, guys. The Mets are a slightly over 500 team on the road. The Angels are 24 and 33 at home, so not great there. We do see both teams showing trends towards the over in this game. The Mets are 29, 16, and 3 to the over on the road. The Angels are 28, 27, and 2 to the over at home, although they're not exactly hitting the cover off the ball right now, so not in love with the over-under in this game. Generally speaking, I tend to lean towards the Mets. Despite Paul Blackburn's kind of negative history against the Angels, go ahead and give me the Mets minus 136 in this game. Not going in the pin comment, though. Moving right along here, guys, we're looking at the Colorado Rockies going on the road to take on the San Diego Padres. The Rockies are playing right now. They're up 2-0 over the Angels in the top of the second inning. They've been trying to find some wins here recently, but at 39 and 70, their season isn't super meaningful. They're handing the ball to Austin Gomber, who's 2-7 this season with a 4.79 ERA. He's coming off of a rough outing at the Giants, 3 2/3 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs allowed. So not exactly too much to get excited about in that outing. The last time he faced the Padres was back in May, and he was lights out in that one. So take that for what it's worth, but he has not been throwing the ball amazing as of late. I mean, yeah, 3, 4, 4, 1, and 4 earned runs over his last 5 starts. Not great stuff. The Rockies are 3-2 over those starts, so take that for what it's worth, but their bullpen has been atrocious this season, guys. A 5.56 bullpen ERA absolute worst in the major league. So not feeling too good about that. Big problems there, and yeah, they're going to have to find some answers at the plate, and they haven't been swinging the hottest bats necessarily, but their offense over the course of the year hasn't been terrible. 16th in the majors in runs scored, 14th in the majors in batting average, but they're going to be away from Coors Field in this one, so we'll see what effect that has. Usually it's a negative effect on the bats. They're taking on the Padres in this game, who are 59-51 on the season, coming off of an 8-1 win there over the Dodgers. They've been killing it lately, guys. They are up to only 4.5 games back of the Dodgers there in the NL West. They're handing the ball to Randy Vasquez in this game, who's 3-6 on the season with a 4.82 ERA. He's coming off an absolutely terrible start at Baltimore, guys. 2 innings, 4 hits, 6 earned runs given up in that start. The problem was he had no control in that game. He walked 4 out there, which is a huge departure from how he had looked over his last 4 starts, never walking more than 1 hitter and never giving up more than 2 earned runs. So definitely feel like Vasquez is in line for a bounce back outing in this one. He has had trouble against the Rockies this season, but that was way back in the early going, so I think we could trust him to have something of a decent start in this game. We'll obviously have to see what actually goes on out there. The Padres bullpen should be headed in a good direction, guys, and they have been lately. A 4.07 bullpen ERA, nothing to turn your nose up at, and the bats have been killing it, guys. 8, 6, 6, 9, 6, 3, and 12 runs respectively over their last several games. They're 10th in the majors in runs scored, 7th in the majors in on-base percentage, getting on base at a 324 clip, and they are the best batting average team in the MLB, batting 264 as a squad. So, looking at the numbers for this game, not super shocked here to see the Padres as significant favorites. We've got the Rockies at plus 150, the Padres at minus 178. We've got an over-under of 7.5 in this game. Colorado is only 15-41 on the road. The Padres are 28-27 at home. Obviously playing some of their best ball of the season. My favorite lean in this game, though, is the over-under, guys. We see both teams showing significant trends towards the over. Colorado 32-23-1 to the over on the road. The Padres are 34-20-1 to the over at home. Guys, go ahead and give me over 7.5 in this game. Honestly, this feels like an incorrect line or something like that, so let me know if I'm missing something here or if that has drastically changed, but right now, as far as I can tell, that's where the number is at, and if that's where the number is going to stay, guys, or even if that's where I can get some money down on it right now, go ahead and give me over 7.5. You could also take this one at over 8. Even over 8.5, I think, is very reasonable. I think we're going to see plenty of offense in this game, at least from the Padres, and that should be enough to get the job done. Rounding into the home stretch here, guys, we're looking at the Los Angeles Dodgers going on the road to take on the Oakland A's. The Dodgers come into this game fresh off of a tough 2-game series there against the Padres, where they lost both of them. Freeman has been dealing with a really sad situation with his son. It sounds like things might end up okay in the end, but I don't know really when he's going to be back with the team, which has kind of left the offense in a weird spot. The Dodgers are handing the ball in this game to Gavin Stone, who's 9-4 this season with a 3.34 ERA. He's coming off a mediocre start at Houston, guys. 6 innings, 9 hits, 4 earned runs, including 2 home runs allowed. He's given up at least 1 home run in each of his last 4 starts, so that's a bit problematic. Not really what you want to see from your guy out there, giving up lots of dingers, but generally speaking, he's had a good season, so we'll see what we get out of him in this one against an A's team that he has not faced yet this season. The Dodgers bullpen has obviously been very good this season. No major problems there. They're clearly still, like a top 10 bullpen. They've had some issues lately, I guess, but a 3.64 ERA coming out of the pen, not a disaster. The bats have been a problem, guys. 1, 5, 6, 7, and 0 runs respectively over their last few. Not great. Obviously Ohtani's still doing his thing. This is still a top 10 offense in the majors in terms of batting average, 4th in the majors in runs scored. So we'll see what they can do here against the A's, who come into this game losers of, 2 out of their last 3 at least. They're 45-65 in the year, handing the ball to Joey Estes, who's 4-4 this season with a 4.92 ERA. He's coming off of a very short, or maybe not very short for a bullpen outing, 2 2/3 innings against the Angels, 2 hits allowed, no runs allowed, so they'll take that. He did walk 2 in that outing, though, so that's not great. His last couple of starts looked okay, but he did give up 8 hits over 5 2/3 to the Angels in a game we saw Oakland eventually lose. So not super high on Joey Estes in this game. The Oakland A's bullpen has been way better than you would think, guys. They're currently 5th in the majors with a 3.54 bullpen ERA, so that's pretty nice, but the offense has been pretty, in or out, guys. 0, 5, 6, 3, 5. Not a team that's putting up a ton of big crooked numbers. They're 22nd in the majors in runs scored, 16th in the majors in slugging percentage, though, so definitely something to be keeping an eye on here going up against a guy like Gavin Stone. So we'll see what we get out of them in this game. The Dodgers are minus 155. The A's are plus 144. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this one. The Dodgers are 28-26 on the road. Oakland's 26-27 at home. We see mixed trends towards the over-under in this game. Guys, this is a super weird spot. I do tend to lean towards the Dodgers minus 155 just a little bit, but yeah, not a big lean in this one. You could also take over 8. I don't think that's awful, given the fact that Oakland's swinging the bats a little bit better and have good power numbers and are going up against a guy with bad power numbers and a good offense. So yeah, probably my biggest lean in this game is over 8.5, but not a spot that I love. Last but not least, guys, we're looking at the Philadelphia Phillies going on the road to take on the Seattle Mariners. The Phillies come into this game fresh off of losing all 3 games in their series against the Yankees. They've actually lost 4 in a row right now. They're 65-43 on the year, handing the ball to Tyler Phillips in this game. This dude has been lights out, 3-0 this season with a 1.80 ERA, looking to make his 4th start and 5th appearance of the season. He hasn't given up an earned run over any of his last 2 starts. A problem for me, though, he did just pitch 9 innings against Cleveland. It was an 8-0 win, 4 hits allowed, 4 strikeouts, 1 walk, no runs allowed. Like, great stuff from Tyler Phillips on that one, but man, do you really want to run him out there for that many innings? Like, it seems a bit problematic to me. The Phillies bullpen has definitely been a problem lately. They're trying to, improve it a little bit, but a 4.03 bullpen ERA is not what they were hoping for, not what they were expecting this season, so that's not ideal. The bats have kind of gone a little bit quiet, 5, 6, 4, and 3 runs respectively over their last 4 games. Yeah, I mean, Bryce Harper telling them they need to cowboy up. I don't really know if that's going to be the secret elixir to get them hitting the ball again, guys. This team is obviously a top 5 or 10 offense in the majors, absolutely no doubt about it. So we'll see what they can do here going up against the Seattle Mariners, who are handing the ball to Brian Wu in this game. The Mariners are tied for the top spot in the AL West. They did just lose 2 out of 3 at Boston, so they're looking to get back on track here, handing the ball to Wu, who's 4-1 this season with a 2.35 ERA. His last start was back on the 27th against the White Sox. 4 innings, 4 hits, only a single run allowed, and it was unearned. So pretty decent stuff from him over, I would say, 3 out of his last 5 starts. He's not somebody that goes deep into the game. That puts a little bit of pressure on the bullpen, but the Mariners bullpen with a 3.76 ERA can kind of handle that pressure. The question is, what are we going to get from their offense? They've made some additions. Like, we'll see what we get from them. I'm expecting better things from this offense, now here after the trade deadline than what we saw before. But yeah, I mean, 2, 10, 7, and 6 runs over the last few. Like, should work for a team that has a very good pitching staff. So looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Phillies at plus 102, the Mariners at minus 118. We've got an over-under of 7.5 in this game. The Phillies 26-22 on the road. Seattle 31-23 at home. No trends against the over-under for the Phillies. Obviously, Seattle is a huge under team. They're 35-17-2 to the under at home. Not super interested in that over-under of 7.5. I am leaning slightly towards the Phillies minus 118 in this spot, mostly on the fact that Tyler Phillips just pitched a complete game, so I'm expecting some arm fatigue here, but do I trust that lean enough to put it in the pinned comment? Seems very unlikely. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.